Hello everyone, Jewel here. This time, I want to share my best Switch action RPG games of all time that I think should be played in 2022. There's a lot of good action RPG out there, but sometimes they are not available on Switch, which is why I make these videos to highlight some of the coolest ARPG that are actually available on Switch. Alright then, let's get started.
No one else stands a chance.
Fire Emblem Warriors is not just a mindless brawler. It combines enjoyable combat with real-time tactics, faithfully paying tribute to the two franchises it fuses together. Musou fans will love the fantasy setting and blade-based action, while Fire Emblem followers will appreciate the strategic wrinkles that series adds to proceedings. While the story is largely forgettable, there's plenty of fan service for Fire Emblem's lovers here. If you're a fan of Fire Emblems and Musou games at the same time, then this is a perfect game for you. White Rabbit should be commended for the approach to Death's Gambit Afterlife. With an unwavering commitment to excellence, a fantastic Souls-like Metroidvania has been born. It deserves to be played for this alone, but thankfully it stands on its own merits too. When genres and systems combine like this, it can often falter in not quite establishing its direction. Thankfully, its ideologies and mechanics are deep-rooted enough to not have this problem.
Been another dungeon.
Vran Overkill Edition isn't as slick, polished, or downright accomplished as Diablo 3, but it does have an energetic spirit all of its own, as well as a few unique advantages that might better serve a broader Nintendo-loving crowd. Vran has a brilliant combat system, anchored by its clear and concise focus on weapon types rather than distinct character classes. The game has its fair share of rough edges and a slightly discordant tone, but nevertheless it's still a highly entertaining action RPG. Supergiant Games outdid itself with Transistor, providing an engaging ARPG experience that managed to improve upon its predecessor in many ways, while adding in distinct new elements that help to define its identity. It's another welcome addition to the Switch library and is the epitome of a modern RPG classic. I would give Transistor a high recommendation to anybody looking for another great RPG for their Switch, or for someone who just wants to hear a good story. Torchlight II proves to be a wonderfully well-polished ARPG that's sure to provide dozens of hours of fun, all at an incredibly low price point when you consider what's all being offered. Rewarding, loot-heavy gameplay, an expressive art style, and tons of replayability come together to make for an impressively charming and addictive experience. Torchlight II is a strong recommendation to anybody who's interested in seeing what the ARPG genre is about, as this proves to be an accessible adventure that sacrifices none of the unique qualities that set the genre apart. Persona 5 Strikers is a fantastic sequel to one of the best JRPG games of all time. It proves to be a beautiful and worthy sequel to the original game, with the cast, story, and combat all shining in old and new ways. There are a few issues here and there, but overall this is a thoroughly entertaining action RPG that comes highly recommended. VIII Lacrimosa of Dana is an incredible and unforgettable game. Its excellent soundtrack and sense of adventure greatly brighten the moments you spend with it. It's an RPG that asks a hefty time commitment and doesn't offer particularly deep character storylines, but the combat, overall story, and character progression make VIII Lacrimosa of Dana a journey well worth taking. If you like Dragon's Dogma in one of its previous releases, you will like it here as well. Many will agree that this is one of the best open-world RPGs in the last several years. There is no denying that it is rough in parts and really could have done with a full remaster rather than a straight re-release, but Dragon's Dogma nonetheless remains a fantastic role-playing experience. Neo: The World Ends With You captures everything that made the original special and surpasses it in every way. With a great story and incredibly addicting combat, you will be hooked from start to finish and probably beyond that. The game does a wonderful job recapturing what made this formula work so well on the DS, but in a more approachable way. Overall, Neo: The World Ends With You is a sequel worth waiting for.
Another one bites the dust!
Diablo 3 The Eternal Collection on Switch is a very successful and solid part of the 2012 game with all of its content and updates. This is one of the best ARPG ever made, promising hundreds of hours of fun exploring, killing, and looting in a magnificent dark fantasy world. With all the character classes, variety and abilities, and an insanely large loot pool to dive into, it's one of those games where you can keep going as long as you would like. The fact that a game stuffed with hundreds of hours of content runs so well on a handheld console is nothing short of amazing. On its own, Skyrim is a phenomenal game, and now you don't have to be stuck on the couch or in front of your computer anymore. Now you can basically play it wherever and whenever you want. Despite its age showing, it still delivers a palpable sense of space and fantastic role-playing experience. If you like Skyrim, then this port is a must-have. The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt remains a masterpiece, and being able to take such a grand and engrossing adventure on the go is something well worth celebrating. Although performance isn't perfect, it's still an incredible and impactful role-playing experience. With an insane amount of engaging content, meaningful narrative, and a well-designed world to explore, there's no doubt that this game is a must-have for any RPG enthusiast. Dark Souls Remastered is the improved version of one of the most influential and unforgettable games ever made. It delivers a mysterious and expansive world to be explored, which will reward those who are brave enough to face its dangers. It's an experience that's a perfect fit on a handheld, and one of the most compelling games that Nintendo's platform currently has to offer. To put it simply, Hades is Supergiant's best work to date. Top-level gameplay, story, design, art, and soundtrack come together to form the most addictive roguelite ever. It delivers truly classic action in almost every way, has the perfect level of difficulty, and has a unique take on Greek mythology. Overall, this is a game that totally deserves your attention. New mechanics, monsters, and a gorgeous setting make Monster Hunter Rise a new high-water mark for the franchise. With an abundance of elements that make it uniquely related to the other games of the franchise, it also brings back the best in each entry, both in gameplay and in the roster of monsters. It's very easy to say that Monster Hunter Rise is one of the strongest entries into the franchise to date, and another stone cold classic for the Nintendo Switch. Alright boys, I think that's it for today. I know that there are other good Switch ARPG games that I haven't mentioned yet, so how about sharing your best Switch ARPG games that probably deserve a spot in the comment section below. Don't forget to like the video and make sure to subscribe to the channel if you don't want to miss another great list. Thank you for watching and have a good day. Peace!